After 25 years of marriage to men, successful careers, and children now grown, two women discover that some connections transcend time itself. When Elena Martinez, a recently divorced architect, moves back to her college town to start over, she never expected to find her college roommate, Sarah Chen, running the local bookstore café. What began as a friendship decades ago had always carried an undercurrent neither dared to name. Now, at 52 and 49 respectively, they're finally free to explore what might have been and what still could be. But starting over at midlife means confronting not just societal expectations, but their own fears about deserving happiness after decades of living for everyone else. The brass bell above the door chimed softly as Elena pushed into Between the Lines Cafe, shaking raindrops from her silver-streaked hair. She'd driven 3 hours from Phoenix to settle into her new apartment, and the cozy bookstore caf combo seemed like the perfect place to grab coffee and decompress from the chaos of moving. 20-5 years of marriage had ended 6 months ago when she'd finally admitted what she'd known deep down for years. She'd been living someone else's life. The divorce had been amicable enough. Robert had suspected her restlessness went deeper than career dissatisfaction. Their twin daughters, now 24 and launching their own lives, had been surprisingly supportive when she'd explained her need to rediscover herself. Elena Martinez? The familiar voice made her freeze mid-step. Behind the counter stood a woman with laugh lines around warm brown eyes and graying hair pulled back in a messy bun. Despite the years, Elena would recognize that smile anywhere. Sarah Chen. Elena's heart did something complicated in her chest. I heard you'd stayed in Flagstaff, but I didn't realize you owned this place. Sarah's face lit up with genuine pleasure. Owned it for 8 years now? Books by day, wine, and poetry by night. She gestured around the space with obvious pride. What brings you back to our old stomping grounds? Fresh start, Elena said simply, approaching the counter. Divorced, empty nest, ready for something different. The usual then. Sarah's eyes twinkled. Large coffee, extra shot, oat milk. Elena stared at her. You remember my coffee order from college? Something stick. Sarah busied herself with the espresso machine, but Elena caught the slight pink in her cheeks. Plus, you were always pulling all-nighters in the architecture lab. I brought you coffee there more times than I can count. The memories came flooding. Back study sessions that turned into deep conversations about dreams and fears. Sarah's gentle way of making sure Elena ate during stressful periods. The electricity she'd felt whenever their hands accidentally touched. Elena had convinced herself it was normal roommate affection, but standing here now, she wondered how she'd been so good at lying to herself. I remember, Elena said softly. You took better care of me than I took care of myself. Sarah handed over the coffee, their fingers brushing briefly. The contact sent a familiar warmth up Elena's arm that she'd forgotten she'd once craved. So what's the plan for your fresh start? Sarah asked, leaning against the counter with the easy familiarity of someone who owned the space. I'm setting up a small architectural practice. Sustainable design, mostly residential. Elena took a sip of coffee. It was perfect. Exactly as she'd always preferred it. I bought the old Victorian on Elm Street, planning to renovate it as my office and maybe rent out the upstairs apartment, the blue one with the wraparound porch. I love that house. I walk past it every morning on my way to work. You could stop by sometime, Elena found herself saying. I mean, if you want to see the renovation progress. I could use an expert opinion on creating reading nooks. Sarah's smile was radiant. I'd love that. Fair warning, though, I have very strong opinions about natural lighting and built-in bookshelves. I expect nothing less from you. They fell into comfortable conversation about the town's changes over the years, mutual friends from college, Sarah's bookstore events. Elena learned that Sarah had married briefly in her 30s but divorced after, realizing she'd been trying to fit into expectations rather than following her heart. No children, which she seemed at peace with. I should let you get back to work, Elena said eventually, noticing other customers waiting. Don't be a stranger, Sarah said, then hesitated. Actually, we have a poetry reading Thursday night. Local writers, wine, good crowd. You should come. I'd like that. As Elena walked toward the door, Sarah called after her. Elena, it's really good to see you again, outside in the rain. Elena sat in her car for a long moment, processing the unexpected encounter. The easy chemistry between them felt as natural as breathing, but also terrifying. She'd just gotten out of a marriage where she'd suppressed her true self. Was she ready to explore feelings she'd buried for decades? Her phone buzzed with a text from her daughter, Mia. How's the new town, Mom? Making friends already? Elena smiled, typing back, something like that. I'll call you tomorrow. But as she drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling that seeing Sarah again wasn't just a coincidence. It was a second chance at something she'd been too scared to pursue the first time around. Thursday evening arrived with the kind of crisp, October air that made Elena remember why she'd loved living in northern Arizona during college. She had changed clothes 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a soft burgundy sweater, casual but flattering. The fact that she was nervous about seeing Sarah again told her more than she was ready to admit. Between the lines had been transformed for the poetry reading. Fairy lights strung between the bookshelves created an intimate atmosphere, and Sarah had arranged chairs in a loose circle around a small performance area. About 30 people mingled with glasses of wine, their conversations creating a warm hum. You came. Sarah appeared at Elena's elbow, looking stunning in a flowing black dress that Elena definitely shouldn't be noticing the way she was. I wasn't sure you would. I said I would, Elena replied, accepting a glass of red wine. Have I ever broken a promise to you? Sarah considered this seriously. No, actually. You haven't. Something shifted in her expression, a recognition of the deeper layers in that simple statement. The poetry was better than Elena had expected, raw. Honest pieces about love, loss, and finding yourself at unexpected moments. One poem, written by a woman in her 60s about falling in love for the first time after her husband's death, hit particularly close to home. Elena found herself stealing glances at Sarah, who was absorbed in each performance. During intermission, Sarah introduced Elena to various regulars. Elena was struck by the genuine community Sarah had built: artists, retirees, college students, all drawn together by their love of books and stories. Sarah's the heart of our little artistic scene, explained Marcus, a painter in his 70s. This place didn't exist when I first moved here. Now I can't imagine the town without it. She always did have a gift for bringing people together, Elena said, watching Sarah laugh with a group of young poets. After the reading, Elena helped Sarah clean up while the last patrons lingered over final glasses of wine. That was wonderful, Elena said, stacking chairs. You've created something special here. It took a while to find my groove, Sarah admitted, wiping down tables. The first few years were rough. I wasn't sure if a bookstore could survive in a small town. But it turns out people were hungry for this kind of community space. What made you stay in Flagstaff after college? Sarah paused in her cleaning. Honestly, I was scared to leave. My parents had this plan for me: marry a nice Chinese-American doctor, move to California, give them grandchildren. Staying here felt like rebellion, even though it was probably just fear disguised as independence. Did you ever regret it? Sometimes. Especially during my marriage to David. I kept thinking maybe if I'd followed the expected path, ... She shrugged. But I don't think I would have been happy anywhere, trying to be someone I'm not. Elena understood completely. I spent 25 years being the perfect wife and mother. Don't get me wrong, I love my daughters more than life itself. But I lost myself somewhere in all those roles. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, the intimacy of the shared task feeling both familiar and charged with new possibility. Elena, Sarah said finally, her voice carefully neutral, can I ask you something personal? Of course, when you said you were getting a fresh start. Does that include dating? I mean, are you looking to meet someone? Elena's hands stilled on the chair she was moving. The question hung between them, loaded with implications neither had fully voiced yet. I don't know, Elena answered honestly. For the first time in my adult life, I'm trying to figure out what I actually want, not what everyone else expects from me. Sarah nodded slowly. That makes sense. It's just, I've been wondering if you ever thought about us, about what might have happened if we'd been braver back then. The admission landed like a stone in still water, sending ripples through everything Elena thought she understood about their reunion. Every day, Elena said quietly. For 25 years, every single day, Sarah's breath caught. Really? I told myself it was normal to think about your college best friend. But it wasn't just friendship, was it? No, Sarah whispered. It wasn't. They stood facing each other across the small space, 25 years of what-if stretching between them. So what do we do now? Elena asked. Sarah stepped closer, her eyes searching Elena's face. We could start with dinner. Tomorrow night, if you're free. Not here somewhere we can actually talk without interruption. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. Like a date? Like two old friends figuring out if they want to be something more? Elena thought about all the reasons she should say no too soon after her divorce, too complicated, too risky. Then she thought about the poetry reading, about the woman who'd found love at 65, about all the years she'd already spent playing it safe. I'd like that, she said. I'd like that very much. Sarah's smile was worth every moment of uncertainty. Sarah had suggested Josephine's, a small Italian restaurant tucked away on a side street that Elena had never noticed during her college years. The intimate lighting and quiet atmosphere made it feel like they were in their own private world as they settled into a corner booth. I have a confession, Sarah said, twisting her wine glass nervously. I've been thinking about this all day, and I'm terrified I'm going to say the wrong thing and scare you off. Elena laughed, some of her own tension dissolving. That's funny, because I've been rehearsing conversation topics since noon. We're both overthinking this, probably. Sarah's smile was rueful. It's just been a long time since I felt this nervous about someone. And mistakes feel different than they did when we were 22. Different how? Back then I could pretend I didn't know what I was feeling. Now I'm too old for that kind of self-deception. Sarah met Elena's eyes directly. I'm attracted to you, Elena. I always was. And seeing you again has brought all of that rushing back. The honesty was both thrilling and terrifying. Elena felt heat rise in her cheeks. I'm attracted to you too, but I'm also scared as hell. Tell me about the scared part. Elena appreciated that Sarah didn't try to minimize her fear or rush past it. It was so characteristic of her, that gentle way of making space for difficult feelings. I've never been with a woman, Elena said quietly. I mean, never seriously considered it until recently. What if I'm not good at it? What if I'm just projecting some fantasy onto you because you represent the road not taken? Sarah nodded thoughtfully. Those are valid concerns. Can I share something? Please. When I was married to David, I kept waiting to feel the way I thought married women were supposed to feel. Completely fulfilled, content, like I'd found my missing piece. Sarah took a sip of wine. It never happened. I liked him fine, loved him even, but there was always this sense that I was playing a role rather than living, authentically. That's exactly how I felt with Robert, Elena said, relief evident in her voice. I thought maybe I was just one of those people incapable of deep romantic connection, but you felt something different with women. Elena's laugh was self-conscious. I spent years convincing myself that noticing attractive women was just aesthetic appreciation or admiration. It took my therapist pointing out that straight women don't usually lie awake thinking about their female colleagues' lips to make me face reality. When did you first realize? Honestly, college. With you, Elena's admission hung between them. But I was so committed to the life plan I'd mapped out: good marriage, successful career, children, suburban house. The idea of deviating from that terrified me. Sarah reached across the table and covered Elena's hand with hers. The contact was warm, reassuring. We don't have to figure everything out tonight. We don't have to put labels on anything or make grand pronouncements about the future. What do you want to do then? I want to get to know you again. The real you, not the version who is trying to fit into someone else's expectations. Sarah's. Thumb traced gentle circles on Elena's knuckles. I want to explore this connection and see where it leads. Without pressure, Elena felt something tight in her chest begin to loosen. That sounds perfect. They ordered dinner and fell into easier conversation, catching up on the details of their lives over the past 25 years. Elena talked about her daughters, Mia, now a graphic designer in Portland, and Sophia, finishing her master's degree in environmental science. Sarah shared stories about building her bookstore, the challenges of being a divorced woman entrepreneur in a small town, her close relationship with her sister who lived in Seattle. Do you want children? Elena asked during dessert, then immediately backtracked. Sorry, that's probably too heavy for a first date. It's okay, Sarah said gently. The answer is complicated. I thought I did when I was younger, but I'm not sure if that was what I actually wanted or what I thought I should want. Now, at 49, I'm past worrying about it. If I end up with someone who has children, great. If not, I've built a full life without them. My girls would like you, Elena said impulsively. Yeah. How can you tell? They're both strong, independent women who value authenticity over convention. Mia especially has been encouraging me to date whoever makes me happy, regardless of gender. Smart kid. They both are. I'm proud of who they've become, even if I worry I wasn't fully present during their childhoods. I was so busy performing motherhood that I sometimes forgot to actually experience it. Sarah squeezed her hand. You raised two accomplished, open-minded daughters. That doesn't happen by accident. As they walked to their cars after dinner, the October air crisp around them, Elena felt a lightness she hadn't experienced in years. I had a wonderful time tonight, she said, suddenly shy again. Me too. Sarah stepped closer, close enough that Elena could smell her subtle perfume. Would it be okay if I kissed you? Elena's heart stuttered. Yes, the kiss was soft, tentative at first, then deeper as Elena relaxed into it. Sarah's lips were warm and gentle, and Elena felt something click into place, like a key turning in a lock she hadn't known existed. When they broke apart, both were breathing slightly faster. Wow, Elena whispered. Good wow or overwhelming wow? Definitely good wow. Elena smiled, feeling bold. When can I see you again? How about Sunday? I'll cook for you. Fair warning, I'm a much better cook than I was in college. I should hope so. I remember your idea of cooking was adding hot sauce to ramen noodles. Sarah laughed. I've evolved. Driving home, Elena felt like a teenager, giddy, nervous, and completely alive. She called Mia when she got to her apartment. Mom, it's late. Everything okay? Everything's perfect, sweetheart. I just wanted to tell you I went on a date tonight. That's great. Tell me everything. What's he like? Elena took a deep breath. Actually, she's wonderful. Her name is Sarah, and we were roommates in college. I'm really happy, Mia. There was a brief pause, then Mia's voice, warm with love. "I'm happy for you. Mom, it's about time you did something just for yourself." Sunday afternoon found Elena standing outside Sarah's small craftsman bungalow, holding a bottle of wine and fighting off butterflies. The house was exactly what she'd expected, painted a soft sage green with white trim, surrounded by a garden that managed to look both wildly natural and carefully tended. Sarah answered the door in jeans and a loose sweater, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked relaxed, beautiful, and Elena felt that now familiar flutter of attraction mixed with deeper affection. "Perfect timing," Sarah said, accepting the wine with a kiss on Elena's cheek that felt wonderfully natural. "Dinner is almost ready." The house was exactly what Elena would have designed for Sarah, if asked cozy but not cluttered, filled with books and art, windows everywhere to let in light. The kitchen smelled like garlic and herbs, and Elena could see a bottle of wine already open on the counter. "This is gorgeous," Elena said, looking around. "It's so completely you. I've been here 12 years now. Took a while to get it right, but I'm happy with it." Sarah stirred something on the stove. "Can I get you a glass of wine?" They worked together easily, Sarah putting finishing touches on dinner while Elena set the table. The domesticity of it felt significant somehow, like a preview of possibilities. Over dinner, perfectly prepared salmon with roasted vegetables and quinoa. They talked about everything and nothing. Sarah told Elena about her plans to expand the bookstore's community programming. Elena described her vision for her architectural practice, focusing on sustainable design that worked with the high desert environment rather than against it. "I keep thinking about what you said the other night," Elena said as they moved to the living room with their wine, "about not wanting to put pressure on this, but also being too old for self-deception." Sarah curled up on the opposite end of the couch, facing Elena. "What about it?" "I've been doing some thinking about what I actually want, not what I think I should want." Elena took a steadying breath. "I want to explore this thing between us. I want to see where it goes. And I want to stop being afraid of what other people might think." "What are you most afraid of?" "Honestly, that I'll be bad at being with a woman. That 25 years of heterosexual marriage might have, I don't know, programmed me wrong somehow." Sarah's laugh was gentle, not mocking. "Elena, there's no wrong way to be attracted to someone or to express that attraction. Every relationship is different. Every person brings their own preferences and needs. But what if," Sarah moved closer, close enough to take Elena's hands, "what if we stop overthinking this? What if we just focus on what feels good and natural between us?" Elena looked into Sarah's warm brown eyes and felt something settle in her chest. "Okay, yes, I'd like that." "Good," Sarah said softly, then leaned in to kiss her. This kiss was different from Friday night, deeper, more intentional. Elena felt herself relaxing into it, her hands finding their way to Sarah's face, her hair. When Sarah's tongue traced her lower lip, Elena opened to her gladly. They made out on the couch like teenagers, hands wandering, breath growing shorter. Elena marveled at how different this felt, the softness of Sarah's skin, the way she smelled, the gentle way she touched Elena's face. "Is this okay?" Sarah whispered against Elena's ear, her hand resting just below Elena's breast. "More than okay," Elena managed, her voice rougher than usual. But when Sarah started to unbutton Elena's shirt, Elena caught her hand. "Wait, can we slow down just a little?" "Not because I don't want to, but because I want to savor this." Sarah's smile was understanding. "Of course. We have all the time in the world." They settled back into cuddling, Elena's head on Sarah's shoulder, both of them breathing a little hard but content to simply be close. "Can I tell you something?" Elena said after a while. "Anything. I feel more like myself than I have in years. Maybe ever." Sarah's arms tightened around her. "You know what's funny? I was just thinking the same thing. Like some part of me that's been waiting finally gets to come out. They talked late into the evening about their fears, their hopes, the surreal feeling of being middle-aged women exploring their sexuality in ways they'd never allowed themselves before. Elena found herself sharing things she'd never told anyone, the loneliness she'd felt in her marriage, the way she'd sometimes looked at women and quickly looked away, the dreams she'd had over the years that had confused and frightened her. I used to have dreams about you, she admitted quietly, for years after college. I'd wake up feeling guilty and try to forget them, but they kept coming back. What kind of dreams? Elena blushed. The kind that made me realize I wasn't as straight as I thought I was. Sarah kissed the top of her head. I'm honored to have featured in your subconscious awakening. Elena finally went home that night after another extended makeout session in Sarah's driveway that left them both disheveled and grinning. She felt like she was glowing from the inside out. The next morning, she called her therapist and made an appointment. Then she called her daughters. Mia, is Sophia with you? I want to talk to both of you about something. 20 minutes later, she was on a three-way call with both her daughters, her heart hammering as she prepared to be more honest than she'd ever been with them. I'm dating someone, she began. Her name is Sarah. We were college roommates, and I'm falling for her pretty hard. I wanted you both to hear it from me before anyone else. Mom, that's amazing, Sophia said immediately. How are you feeling about everything? Terrified and excited and more myself than I felt in decades. Good for you, Mia said firmly. When do we get to meet her? Elena laughed, overwhelmed by their immediate acceptance and love. Soon, if you want. Maybe Thanksgiving? She doesn't have family nearby, and I thought maybe ... Yes, both daughters said simultaneously. After hanging up, Elena sat in her kitchen, morning light streaming through the windows, and felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Complete alignment between her inner truth and her outer life. It was terrifying and exhilarating, and absolutely right. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Thank you for last night. You're incredible, Elena typed back. Thank you for helping me come home to myself. For the first time in her adult life, that's exactly how it felt like coming home. 6 months later, Elena stood in Sarah's garden. Watching her girlfriend, the words still made her giddy, laugh with Mia and Sophia over something on Sophia's phone. The renovation of Elena's Victorian was nearly complete, and Sarah had started spending most nights there, their belongings gradually mingling in ways that felt natural and right. The town had adjusted to seeing them together with less drama than Elena had anticipated. Some people were clearly uncomfortable, but most of their friends and customers had been genuinely happy for them. Elena had even picked up several new clients who specifically sought out LGBTQ plus friendly professionals. Mom, you look disgustingly happy, Mia said, wrapping Elena in a hug. I feel disgustingly happy, Elena admitted. Is that weird at 52? It's perfect at 52, Sarah said, joining them and slipping an arm around Elena's waist with the easy familiarity of someone who belonged there. Elena leaned into her warmth, marveling at how completely her life had transformed. She thought she was too old for grand gestures, for starting over, for the kind of love that changed everything. She'd been wrong about all of it. Sometimes the most courageous thing you could do is finally allow yourself to want what you'd always wanted. What's your story of second chances? Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past and discovered new possibilities? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear about your journey to authentic love, whether it happened at 25 or 55. And if this story resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear that it's never too late to come home to yourself.